stay a while and listen.
And welcome to Agony of Positivity Podcast. I am Ross. With me.
And I am Saul.
Yes, that was a very unfluid introduction on my part. I was trying not to yawn and sneeze at the same time. I believe that truly is how you get eyeballs to pop out of your head if you do both of those. Sneezing with your eyes open, not so worried about. Yawning and sneeze, no idea. So, how's your week going?
It's been all right. Yesterday, it was an interesting. It was just an oddball answer that came out of nowhere. So I work with a guy. Because you work where I work at now.
Yeah.
So there's an older gentleman there, and we were talking about something, and I go inside our refrigerator where we keep all of our water and stuff.
Yeah, that refrigerator is magic because it always has water in it, and I've never seen water anywhere else in the building for it to come from. I assume it just manufactures its own water.
No, it's me stocking it.
That's way less impressive than Magic Refrigerator, but continue.
Yeah,
sorry.
Anyway, there was so I was looking inside the refrigerator because I was cleaning out some of the stuff that's been in there for a while.
Yeah.
And there was a packet of buffalo spicy sauce. Okay.
The McDonald's one,
McDonald's.
Or okay,
yeah,
so this little like the nugget sauce cup thing.
Yeah. So as I was cleaning it out, I was like, "Hey, man, there's a packet of buffalo spicy sauce in here," and without missing a beat, and it came out of nowhere. He's like, "That was my stripper name back in college."
Wait, what? This is the older gentleman?
And this was the older gentleman, and I was like, what? Because it took me off guard.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was funny. I was laughing for a couple hours about it.
That I would never, from the little bit that I know him and have spoke to him, never would have expected that.
Oh yeah, I mean, every now and then, I mean, he'll throw something out there on left field. You're like, where in the world did that come from?
Yeah, like I didn't know you had that kind of sense of humor type deal. That's really fun.
I remember this one woman, one of our customers came in, and she was an older woman, and about it, like I don't know, when they're like 65 or whatever, and so she left, and he came up to me and she's like, man, here's some nice getaway sticks. And I was like, what?
Is that old slang for legs?
I assume that's what she was talking about. I guess he was talking about her getaway sticks or her legs.
Hold on. I'm going to get away sticks slang.
Yeah.
Legs, yeah, so whatever random thing that Google has pulled up here, slang the legs, especially when engaged in the act of fleeing. Come on, we'd better put our getaway sticks to use if we don't want to get caught. So that is a lot of syllable for legs.
I guess that's how you flirt with women back in the 1940s, I guess. So.
1922.
So other than that, how's your week been?
Tired. As you mentioned, so I'm doing the cleaning thing now, and in my early 20s, I would have been able to transition just fine, but the amount of walking up and down stairs and carrying fairly heavy things and moving stuff just nonstop, especially after a year and a half or two of sitting at a desk for a job. A little bit of a rough transition. I figure another couple weeks I'll be totally fine with it. But I just come home, play some Hearthstone, watch whatever random stuff I can find on Twitch, and then it's sleepy time. So now last week I went out trying to find the AEW action figures and failed because now I found the belt and the ring. I picked up one of the rings, but I haven't actually opened it yet because I'm not fully committing, but it currently has a higher resale value on like eBay.
Okay.
But if I can find some of the figures, I think it's going to be a mistake. I think I'm going to collect them, but my fear is I was looking at, and I think I mentioned this last week, but I don't know if it was on the show or not, is looking at like the old WWE, because they're the same size basically. Scale's pretty close. Like a Shawn Michaels, an Undertaker, or a Dean Malenko Elite action figure from WWE. You're looking at least $40 to $50 to pick up one of those. And if I'm going to have a collection of wrestling figures, those are 3 that I'm going to have. And then all of a sudden it's like, I could really use a Ric Flair or an Arn Anderson figure. And then all of a sudden I've spent way more than I'm ever comfortable spending on anything. So I'm hoping that I just never find the AEW figures, because that's what will save me.
You're afraid you're going to go down a dark path of collecting.
Yeah, well, I think that happens with any kind of collecting. If it's something you care about, like there's things I could collect that I could just get one of that I wanted, and I think I'd be okay, but it's still scary. Like Funko Pops. I would like to get one of the Green Ranger Funko Pops, and there's a couple others that I would consider getting, but then once you have that first one, you're like, I could get this too, and I could start a collection. And then you're just, all of a sudden, you're Sammy Guevara, and you have a wall behind you of Dragon Ball Funko Pops, and The Office, and then, there's this other show I really like. Oh, they make Batman ones? Well, I need to get Bane. Well, if I have Bane, I should probably get Azrael. The Batman, not the Smurfs Gargamel's cat, Azrael. Although that would be funny to just have an entire Batman collection of something, but instead of any like Azrael or Azbat, have Gargamel's cat just sitting in there as a joke, and see if people ever notice it. Let's see. So my week's not terribly exciting, but speaking of kind of like the cartoon stuff, you had something you wanted to talk about as far as, I guess we consider it TV stuff.
Yeah, we'll play the TV bumper there.
Yep, give me 1 second. We'll be right back.
Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
You chose poorly. You have chosen wisely.
All right. So, what have you been watching?
So YouTube, for whatever reason, I guess because Hasbro owns G.I. Joe.
Right. So
they've been playing the cartoon, the old cartoon that you and me grew up with.
Yeah.
Like 24/7 for like all week. So I've been trying to get over there, just watching it.
Yeah.
And so there were some characters on there that I'd never recognized before. There was a character dressed like the Ultimate Warrior, like eyeshadow and everything.
That was this the guy who could basically like cast an illusion on himself with like the cowl on? And face
maybe
paint?
this.
Because there's Zartan, who lived in a swamp.
Yeah.
And he had like it was like a brownish cowl on, but he could kind of like phase invisible. But he was one of like the renegade groups, the dreadnoughts or whatever. And
yeah.
But yeah, he could like basically he could disguise himself real easy, but he had like a very you would almost consider him a rogue if you were looking at like archetypes, I think.
Gotcha.
But he did have like some eye makeup on.
Yeah. So I mean, there's characters in it. And there was one that one of the Cobra leaders was, which I always thought was Cobra Commander was like the main leader, but apparently there was other leaders that I just never really, I guess, didn't make an impression on me, or I just didn't know about. I don't know.
My guess, it sounds like you're talking about Serpentor.
Yeah,
so he was
Serpentor there, and Destro.
Yep, yeah. Destro wasn't technically a leader. I think he was just the arms dealer kind of guy, but he had some like leader functions.
He was, because if you listen to the show, like the opening song,
yeah,
they mentioned fighting Cobra Commander and Destro in the song. So he is big enough to, I guess, because some of the episodes, like Cobra Commander wasn't even in there, and Destro was like leading Cobra, so it was weird.
Okay, I have pulled up. It's been a long time since I've looked into it. So for G.I. Joe, he is the leader of the Iron Grenadiers and founder of Mars Industries, and also a weapon manufacturer and supplier for Cobra.
Gotcha.
So he is kind of a leader, but not like a Cobra specific, but he is like ranking up with them. It's like he tells like just one of the normal, like a Crimson Guard or something to do something. I'm sure they're going to do it for him.
Well, it was so anyway, so I went because I totally forgot a lot of these characters' names.
Yeah,
and so for whatever reason I looked it up on Google, and I went on this one guy's website, and he was just cracking me up. Now I want to see if you agree with this, because I don't know how much G.I. Joe you watched as a kid.
Probably more than I would. Not as much as I did Transformers, but my brother was huge into G.I. Joe, to where he'd like skip school for new episodes. So I've seen a lot of it, but go ahead. So
he had like a column section for like the villains and for like the good guys.
Yeah.
So I went on the villain section, and he was ranking in his top 10 the best villains of Cobra. Okay. And he had Cobra ranked.
Let me wait. I want to make a guess. Who was number one? Globulus?
The number one was Destro.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and number 3 was Cobra Commander.
Right.
I was like, well, why in the world would you have Cobra Commander as number 3? And his explanation of it was great.
Okay.
His reasoning for doing it. Because he was like, Destro and Serpentico, or whatever his name was.
Yes, Serpentico. He, not only is he on AEW Dark, he was in Serpentor.
Serpentor, yes. So he's like, those two actually were leaders, and they would actually have schemes to where like it would advance like Cobra. Like he's like, if they wanted to take over a waterway, they would do like they would try to take it over with military or whatever, and they would try to like realistic like war schemes, like they would try to take over a country or whatever, to advance Cobra's foothold on whatever they're trying to do, But he's like, Cobra Commander would do stuff that's completely just off the wall, and he's like, Cobra Commander would go.
Did they mention the SPF 1 million sunscreen scheme?
Maybe.
Well, I'll let you. I'll tell you about it because it's ridiculous.
Okay.
But go ahead and finish.
But he's like, Destro or the other guy would try to do stuff where they would try to take over whatever to advance Cobra's foothold or whatever. He's like, but like Cobra Commander would come up with stuff like, I want $85 billion or I'm going to blow up the ocean.
Right.
And he's like, that's not a good leader. He's like, but people were so scared of him because Cobra Commander was insane. So he's like, they would just do it because they were afraid that they would just kill him or whatever. But he's like, his schemes were just so off the wall that he's like, the only person that would actually understand him would be like the Joker or something.
Yes. See, I think that's why he was great. Because like Serpentor, he was more the iron-fisted, like no nonsense guy, and Cobra Commander was, like you said, the Joker, but under control a little bit better.
Okay.
So I am on. Give me a second here. I'm going to send this a link to you. And this is the basically Cobra Commander era ideas. But number 14 on this is the one for destroying the ozone layer. Okay. So basically, they wanted to. I remember watching this, and when I was a kid, I thought this thing was insane. But you always heard about CFCs, but as a child, I didn't realize they were basically outlawed. This says in 79. But they're basically going to fill these giant balloons with CFCs and release them to destroy the ozone layer. But to raise funding, also, they had the special... I'm just going to read from what they have here. They don't threaten to destroy the ozone layer. They simply try to destroy it because they think they'll be able to sell special Cobra brand extra strength sunscreen to humans. Like, that's the plan. But then it says, never realizing, even if you had SPF 1 million, if you destroyed the ozone layer, we'd be melted regardless. But this says, Cobra's big plan to destroy the ozone, stealing a ton of aerosol shaving cream bottles. They're going to have their trained terrorist army sit around and have a shaving cream fight or something. And then, let's see. And then it points out where, like, the CFCs were banned, so that wouldn't have even worked. But the idea, you get the idea across with it.
Sure.
But, because during the episode, this is what I remember, I could be wrong, there's like there's a commercial or two that pop up, and one of them, I think it was Cobra Commander, like rubbing it on his mask or something, but like in the back of like a box truck with like just a ton of these the Cobra branded sunscreen. It was ridiculous. Let me see. I'm looking through these because I'm trying. Like, some of these I don't even remember. I do remember they had the Cobra Telethon where they were trying to raise money.
Well, just the fact that an evil corporation or whatever they were,
terrorist organization. They were international, so they do meet the terrorist.
They went out of their way to make a TV show just to annoy the G.I. Joes.
Yes. Well, there's one where, like, this one has it where they like created the fast food restaurants and they had rockets hidden on all of them so they could blow up strategic spots, I assume. There was one, it's not on here, and maybe because it was like a multi-part episode or something. Somehow, I want to say it was Dr. Mindbender created this big glob of something. And it was basically like the Blob, but it was G.I. Joe. But they couldn't really do anything to it. And then they figured out that... I think it was that they needed... Might have been arsenic? Or cyanide. Whatever the... like an apple seed. Like, if you just eat a ton of apple seeds without the apple or whatever, it's got like a trace amounts of like a poison in it that would eventually kill you. But the apple itself is the antidote to it, or something. There's some weird interaction with that, or I misread something. But either way, the end result is they have to lure this giant blob to an apple orchard on the basis of an apple a day would keep the doctor away, so that'll destroy this thing. And it is a weird episode series too. But now as you've been watching this, did you come across Roadblock, the Joe that rhymes all the time?
Yes.
He's awesome. Were there any other G.I. Joe characters that stuck out to you?
Isn't that the one that The Rock plays in the movie?
Yep.
Now, why did they transition his rhyming? That would have been awesome. Those movies are terrible. So anything would make them better. It would just been funny.
Roadblock was an awesome character. Let's see here. I want to look for something real quick. I'm going to look up best G.I. Joe. Because the characters, like, the Joe characters are a lot cooler overall than Cobra's. Because Cobra, it's like, you got Cobra Commander or Serpentor, the Baroness, Major Blood. And then you got like Tomat and Zaymot, the twins in the tower.
Yes.
That whatever you do to one, the other feels. But there's not, I don't know. I always was a fan of the way Transformers had it. Like, it felt like every villain was a main character. Whereas you have so many of like the guard troopers or whatever that are nobodies. So you don't get a lot of weird interaction.
Well, I mean, I think G.I. Joe was basically they wanted to introduce more of their the good guys.
Right.
They wanted to make them popular, and the jobbers were just the soldiers or whatever. So.
Yeah, because like Cobra had like all their toys, like their vehicles, most of their characters or whatever. Like I mentioned Crimson Guard earlier, but the guys in all red that had kind of like the chest button with like the shoulder stuff. Like those were like the coolest ones. And I don't know if that was a take on the Red Guard from Star Wars, but like all the character is in the G.I. Joe side, the Cobra side. Now Cobra did you see the original Cobra Bat episode by any chance? Like the cyborg or the like the machines that they had?
No.
I want to say Bazooka, who uses a bazooka, is the one who figures it out. But basically, they're unstoppable android type things, and they eventually realize like shooting them doesn't really do anything. But then they realize they can just blow them up, and then they can finally stop them. But the typical, they're like super overpowered until they figure out how to beat them, and then they're nothing.
Sure.
So it's like, well, you kind of just cut the legs out from and under them.
Yes.
But those were always cool, like, because that was something I wanted to have multiple of with the action figures. And then you got Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Did you get to see them at all?
No, I didn't see those at all, actually, surprisingly. Because I watched a few episodes, and I saw the guy with the bazooka.
Yep.
Scarlet was in there. I think her name was Major J.
Lady J. Was she taking down super advanced fighter jets with a spear?
Yes.
Yes. That drove, even as a kid, that drove me insane. Because once I had the action figures, so it's like you have the Cobra Blackbird, and you have Lady J, and she's able to take it down with a spear, and her toy came with like a little spear thing. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and like I'm playing, and I also had like RoboForce, like the little robots with suction cups on the bottom, and they had like this castle thing. Not a lot of people remember that, but that was the base. And I had her, and I was like, oh, she can throw a spear and take down this jet, and I was like, that's really dumb. And then,
but she was talented.
Well, I mean, if it was like Green Arrow style, where like the spears did different stuff. But I remember a lot of time it was just like a normal wooden spear with a metal tip. Like,
sure.
Like, so she can take this thing down with that, and you guys can't hit it with a laser cannon. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of inaccuracies on both sides. Nobody can hit anything unless it's metal.
Cobra's logo was always, I always liked their logo, blue and red with that red cobra.
Yep. Good. Yeah, for Cobra Commander specifically. There is later on they did what would you call it? Like the collaborations where it was G.I. Joe and Transformers, and the Cobra Decepticon logo is basically kind of expanded, but like the inside of the Cobra logo has the Decepticon logo in it.
Now, how does that work? Because Megatron didn't like humans. So how in the world did they get together? How did they work together as a team?
So I haven't read some of the most recent ones that had came out years ago, but it was basically, so the Ark, I think it was like the Ark or whatever had crashed on Earth, but Cobra's the actual one who found it. So while everybody, like the Autobots were largely deactivated, and they turned them into like Cobra Hiss tanks, basically. And from the one book I had read, they were like, yeah, this is all fine, but we keep having problems with the Red Cobra Hiss, which was Optimus Prime. where he was still functional enough that he could like totally short circuit and destroy their computer systems. So he was constantly fighting against whatever they were trying to do, and then he eventually came through. And then I think like the Decepticons, either one of them was helping them or whatever. But I want to say it was more, if Megatron was even involved with that they were using Cobra to work on taking over the world. So it was more, my assumption would have to be it was more using them than anything, and they had every intent to stamp them out.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
until Cobra Commander comes up with a ridiculous idea.
And then Megatron just turns him to a pile of ash.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the visual, though, if you think about it, of Cobra Commander holding Megatron as a gun is sweet.
Sure.
Talk about a bad person to give power to. It's almost... Did you ever play... When it came out in the US for Super Nintendo, it was Final Fantasy III with Kefka as the bad guy. Did you ever play that one?
I have never played any Final Fantasy games.
Okay. So, quick summary of it is he seems like the most incompetent bad guy ever.
Okay.
And you just hate him. Like, super easily hateable villain. And as the story goes on, he becomes as powerful as a god. But he's still just insane. I feel Cobra Commander could definitely go that route if he got power. Where he would be just... This guy shouldn't have made it where he is, but somehow in spite of himself, he became ultra powerful, and you still have to deal with him, and you just hate him.
Yes.
Like, that would be Cobra Commander. Be like, this is the same guy who was trying to sell us SPF 5 million sunscreen, and now he rules the universe? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
So,
I mean, if you were his foot soldiers, you'd be like, he wants to blow up the ocean again.
yes.
We keep telling him that it's impossible, but...
Our plan, we're going to evaporate the ocean and bottle it, and then we will store it somewhere.
Yes. And we will sell it back to them. That's our... Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Well, we'll do it.
Yeah. That would be an... You're going to do what? We're going to evaporate the ocean. Well, it's just going to rain. And then fill back the ocean. Nope, we're going to steal the salt out of the ocean. That will be only fresh water.
Yes.
That's what they were going to go for.
And then we're going to steal the clouds.
Yes. Now, it would be interesting if someone was like, I'm going to drill to the center of the earth from the ocean to try to extinguish the magma core.
Yes.
I wonder how hard that would be.
That
would have to be... That would be an engineering feat. If I'm ever a villain, that's going to be what I'm going to tell people I'm going to do.
Sure.
But not where, because it would be super easy to stop. Like, one grenade would destroy whatever you're building, tunnel-wise. I don't know, but so are you going to continue to watch G.I. Joe here and there?
I don't know how long Hasbro is going to be playing G.I. Joe. I don't know if they're doing a marathon or they're
my hope,
people psyched for a new movie, or who knows.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to use it to do another anniversary series of the 3.75 action figures.
Okay.
And then I'll buy more of them to play with.
Yes.
I was looking the other day, the ones that I bought the last time, that I opened all of them and play with them currently.
Yeah.
If I would not have opened them, I would have a decent chunk of money. But I would have missed out on over 10 years of fidgety enjoyment. So I'm okay with it. If they were to, on the Hasbro website, have all those figures again for the like a normal retail price, I would buy them and do the exact same thing. So, and then I would be tweeting the powder guy that does the toys for AEW. Would be like, make them this size, less detailed, cheaper, but easier to play with, and then I can collect the others and leave them in the package. So,
Well, you ready to go to video games?
yes, I'm going to hit a button.
Get over here!
Time's up. Let's do this.
Do you ever catch yourself where your beard from having to wear a mask out in public is just insane? Like it's all like standing up to the sides?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going anywhere with that, but I can just feel like I have headphones in, but I can feel like my sideburn area where it's just, no matter what I do to it, it gets crazy now because of the masks. The freedom I've been given to be non-recognizable comes with the cost of jacked up facial hair.
Now, I did notice something yesterday, and we will move on from it because it can be controversial. But
Okay.
I just thought it was funny. So I was, we walked into a restaurant yesterday to go eat a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And we walked in, and it requires you to wear a face mask. So
Right.
we're in a face mask. We order our food, and literally we walk 5 feet, and we sit down, and we take off the face mask. Because now you can take off the face mask.
Yes, because you're eating.
Yeah.
Or drinking or whatever.
Yeah. And I looked around like, so you're wearing a face mask to come in, and then literally you walk 5 feet to take the face mask off.
Yeah,
That's all we'll say.
yeah, what I will say is I get when you're like at the counter, if they don't have some kind of distancing thing and you're talking to the person, that's fine. But then when you're at the table, like there's lots of problems or things to think about. I'll leave it at that as well, because I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. Like it's confusing. So, all right, on to the fun stuff though. Let me see here. Well, I'm going to tell you first because you've been researching into the new Scourge invasion for Warcraft,
Yes.
correct? So
Yes.
you've been telling me about it some, so I actually kind of avoided it.
Okay.
What I've done is I've played constructed Hearthstone, and with the new set, like there's some really cool stuff you can do. Last set I didn't play hardly any of the constructed.
Okay.
I'm going to make a complaint that it feels like there's an awful lot more legendaries in this set
Okay.
than previous, because I bought the big bundle that gave you like the Kel'Thuzad hero and all that, and then I bought like 100 packs with gold, I believe.
Okay.
Like I've almost exhausted my gold build up over the last two sets, and there's still, I think, a few legendaries that I need, where I'm going to have to start opening up. I have like 30 or 40 classic packs that I've just gotten through brawls or whenever they're giving stuff away, just trying to get dust to make the cards that I need for some of these decks. Now what's really going to happen is some of these cards, because I did no research, it's like I'm going to make this, try to use it once, and then never play with it again. But it just now, and I haven't even looked at the actual number of legendaries compared to other sets. I'm just going on the feeling of it, and it feels like I thought I got a lot of legendaries when I was opening, but then when it was like I went to try to play a deck, I didn't have any of the good legendaries, I guess.
Gotcha.
But so currently, now have you played any with the new set being active?
No, not really.
Okay. So I'm using HS Replay, like their meta tab, where it kind of shows you like the tiered decks. So apparently right now the number one deck is a Libram Paladin. I haven't messed with that. Basically anything that's like tier 1 or tier 2, they have Big Warrior. Where let me find the card. There's one of the cards where it's a 10 mana spell where it'll summon 2 copies of minions in your deck. So then you're just playing big stuff basically.
Yeah.
So I've played that one. It uses Archmage Vargoth, and then like basically it's like what Priest used to do when it was Big Priest, but it's like a warrior version. That's not too bad. But what I've been playing is there's a small spell mage deck, and the version I was playing it's not even listed on the tier list because I'm assuming it's garbage tier. The version I'm using, but the gimmick to it, I guess, is I'm trying to find. I don't know the name of the card unless I have it in my hand. So there's one of the cards that you play. It is a 5-mana card, and it gives you, every time you play a spell, it adds 1 spell damage to it. And you're basically just, you use your 2 Sorceress Apprentice and that's 9 mana on a turn. But you have, most of your spells are going to be 2 mana or less, so you can just try to cycle through a bunch. And there's the Mage Legendary spell, Evocation, or what I believe it's called, where it fills your hand with random mage spells. So if you get anything 2 or less, you can play that, and then you're essentially trying to build up to where you have 15, give or take, damage from your spell, and hit them with a couple cheap Frostbolts and win. I can't get the deck to work consistently against all the people who are playing like the tier 1 and the tier 2. There's just no way to make it work, because you have a card that rearranges the order of cards in your deck, so you have a pretty good idea what you're going to draw. But anything that's like really strong aggro, you might be able to hold them off for a turn or two to freeze them with Frost Nova, but it's not top tier, and the gap between it to the top tier just feels insane. And I'm not very high ranked at all, and it's just any kind of meta deck is just slamming me unless they just brick their draw. So
Gotcha.
As far as Battlegrounds go, whatever changes they made, I have no idea how to maneuver, and I'm just getting smoked again. It just doesn't work. I keep taking stupid Mr. Bigglesworth too, and nobody...
Yeah.
It'll be turn... I had one game, it was like turn 15, and somehow nobody was eliminated yet.
Oh yeah, that's how you usually is with me.
I don't even think it should be possible to hit turn 15 without at least one person being out. Like, there would have to be a lot of ties, because I don't understand, like, my luck with it.
It's almost as if Blizzard is, when they give me like Bigglesworth there, like, they give me like all the super Hearthstone players that are really good at Battlegrounds, and I'm the first one that dies.
Yeah, let me look. I'm looking through here to find out, because he has to be bottom tier, because I assume if you were brand new to the Battlegrounds and your MMR was like super low, it would probably be a lot better.
Well,
but yeah, this says it's tier 3, but
the video I saw of Firebat playing it, he pretty much said that you have to play it defensively.
Yeah, just to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome where you get 3 people knocked out in a turn, and you pick 3 jacked up golden heroes, and then you get like all the effects and jacked up minions. But I don't get that to happen hardly ever.
No,
and like what I've been offered now, I've probably only played him 5 or 6 times, but I've been aware of it. Like, okay, let's see what I can do with this. And one of them, like what I was offered in the tavern each time, just, it wasn't good. It was like, okay, I can give my Divine Shield giving Death Rattle Divine Shield. That's not going to get, like, that was theoretically the best card I could get for like the first 2 rounds, and it hurt. So I'd like to play it, because I do it with Shutterwalk all the time. Like, basically, if I pick Shutterwalk, I assume I'm either going to be first place or out first, because if I get Shutterwalk, I'm probably going to try to go like Pogo Hopper, because it feels awesome when it works, but it never does. I feel I'd like to get...
never got that work.
I've had it a few times. I've tried it more than if I was competitive super on it, I would never pick Shutterwalk, because I would just know that it's not going to work. I just want one game with Mr. Bigglesworth where I just blow everybody out of the water because I got super lucky, and then I think I can stop playing him.
Sure.
Be like, oh, there was that one time that everything went perfectly right, and I was playing people who didn't know they were playing a game, so they were just clicking things and didn't understand it. But all right, so that's my my Skullomance Academy trip report so far. Is top tier decks are top tier. Don't play bottom tier decks if you want to win. And Battlegrounds is stupid.
Fair enough.
So, all right. So, Scourge Invasion.
Yes.
Give me the information, because I'm familiar. Basically, Sylvanas has destroyed the crown of the Lich King, and now the Scourge have no master. Is that pretty much what they got set up?
Yes.
Okay, so what's going on with it?
So in PTR, so the Scourge is just run wild, okay? And so, like, random checkpoints, Scourge will come out of the ground and attack certain, like, towns or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're fighting them, they have a thing where they blow up and they can affect you, okay?
All right.
But the Scourge themselves are kind of weak. If it's just one, like most zombie movies, if it's just one zombie, you usually can handle it. So their numbers greatly increase their this total destroying of everything. Okay. So what I was doing, I was purposely getting infected by these Scourge people.
Yeah.
And I was going and like attacking like mobs. Well, the thing that Blizzard did, which was smart, they had it as the longer you're a Scourge, you're slowly dying. So eventually, I mean,
does that stack? Like you lose like 1%, then 2%, to where like you can't out heal it, or?
Well, you can't heal your zombie guy. So
Okay.
you pretty much once you become a zombie, you're going to die. And then the other thing I liked about it, if you don't want to participate in this event, you just don't flag yourself, because the only way you can become a zombie, flag yourself.
Okay.
That way, other people can kill you. Basically, if you don't want to be bothered by this event, then you just don't flag yourself, and then.
So they fixed the complaint that everyone had the first go round of the Scourge invasion way back.
Well, sort of, because if you don't want to participate in this, you don't have to become a zombie. But what I've been doing is any like humanoid character that you attack becomes a zombie. Okay, and what you do is you go to like certain areas where quest mobs are at, and you just pick the humanoids. What you cause is you cause hyper spawning happen, and so the zombies will keep killing things over and over again, and will just keep repopulating. So what you do is you go to like a Murloc camp.
Oh jeez.
Oh yeah.
Well, because Murlocs already have. It feels like Murlocs already have hyper spawn.
Yes. So I was going to like over in Red Ridge.
Yeah.
There's like a little Murloc camp, and I infected the Murlocs, and then the whole thing. It was insane. I think it was bogging down the area I was in. There were so many Scourge there, and then I would go over to another area where a bunch of like orcs are at.
Yeah.
For like questing mobs. And they hyper spawn there too. So I had like this whole area of Red Ridge just covered in Scourge, to a point where I mean, there's no way you couldn't kill it.
Right. Now, was there low population just because this was PTR?
No, there's I think because when people found out that you were doing it, because a streamer was talking about it.
Yeah.
So everyone was getting on to try it out. There were so many people there.
Okay.
And there were some people that were becoming zombie hunters that were, that would track you down and kill you. But mostly people were doing what I was doing, trying to just create chaos in the world.
Right. Well, and that's going to be kind of the same on live, I would assume, where...
Yeah.
But it sounds like it could actually end up being pretty good. They might have to watch the spawns, though, because... Can you imagine, like, Storm Rage or something, like one of the super servers, where every zone is just covered?
Well, so there is people walking around, the Arshan Dawn, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They're walking around, and they can heal you to take off the infection.
Yeah.
Because once you get infected, you have, like, I think, like 50 seconds to become a Scourge. But what people were doing is, like, people like me and other players that were trying to cause chaos. We would attack the the people that could take away the sickness, so it would just increase the chaos.
Right. Well, I would assume, because like you were saying, like it seems like they left it pretty open and like as broken as possible, just to see what kind of things people are probably going to try to do. I'm sure once it hits live, new things will be discovered.
Well, hopefully they make it like make it worthwhile, because I think the main storyline is they want you to go back to Wrath of the Lich King and basically quest out there to where the whole area is basically set for that type of thing anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really want you hanging out in the old world, but they need to like do like some kind of incentive to become like a zombie killer, like I don't know, get some extra gold or something.
Right, you get some kind of buff or like a gear or something. So is the level squish? Is that active during the pre-patch then?
Yes.
Okay, so they take you down to 50?
Yep.
What was your item level? Do you know?
I didn't even look.
Because I'm looking at Wowhead, and they have like some of the creatures that you can kill. Like they got Patchwork, or Noth from Naxxramas, Professor Putricide. It looks like they dropped some gear, which it says is item level 100, but I have no idea. Plus 10 crit, plus 10 haste. So I have no idea. This is saying, let's see, from when they also seem to okay, they also seem to be item level 100, which is on par with normal mode Nilotha. Much better than. Okay, so it is possible that will be an upgrade in some cases. But now, is Azerite trait still going on, or is that done away with, or corruption?
So the character that I copied over just has Azerite armor. Doesn't have any of the corruption stuff. So that might be a problem. They might want to turn that off, because I did notice when I was a scourge or a zombie walking around, I was getting healed by the Azerite stuff that I had on me.
So that's probably something they can fix, or maybe they just want it, or they were just seeing if it would be broken. But it seems like getting healed in any way is not intended.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't want these zombies hanging around. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they might want to lower the actual time that you're actually a zombie. Maybe as you're a zombie, you need more health.
Do you know if you say you have like the debuff that makes things around you that can turn into zombies? If you log out and then log back in, does it stay or does it tick while you're gone?
So now this is on the test live, but if you log out as a zombie, log back in, you're not a zombie anymore. So.
I was gonna say, because if not, there's gonna be a group of people who have alts that they log out with the debuff, wait about 6 months to a year, and all of a sudden there's a zombie invasion that no one is prepared for.
Sure. Yeah, I think they thought that one out. So once you log out, you're no longer a zombie.
Well, they learned. I know Rift had it, and I know WoW had it too, where you'd have the debuff you could get from like a raid boss that would do a massive AoE thing, and its tick down time was longer than like your Hearthstone or your Soul Recall. So you would intentionally get that right as the fight ended, port back to your main city, and kill an entire city. And it was always good fun.
So it was about 10 or 15 of us. We all got together, because you can still talk as a zombie to everybody. And we all got together, and we basically invaded Stormwind. And I got kind of bored with it because I kept dying, and so I would go back and get reinfected, become a zombie again. But we had like half of Stormwind pretty much all zombified.
That's pretty sweet. So if nothing else, like as long as you get in on the first day, probably, like that's when everybody's going to be the most crazy about it on the first day of the pre-patch. It'll probably be as long as you know, like if that's not going to interrupt your normal gameplay, and I would think it being a pre-patch where there's not really a lot else to do, probably good timing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you don't want to participate in it, you want to be, I'm questing in Westfall. you're ruining my quest. I mean, just don't flag yourself, and it actually might take you out of
that instant or phase.
because I thought once you flag yourself, you become on a different shard. So if you don't flag yourself, you might not even see the cool stuff that's happening. So,
Yeah, I mean, and like with this, that it's coming too. So, like, people can be prepared. But
because I kept on trying to infect the auction house people, and you can't do that.
Okay, so yeah, basically, like, probably quest givers or what would mess with you the most. Probably not going to be short of like Horde coming in and killing them.
Yeah, quest givers and auction house people you can't infect. Now you can infect
essential NPCs.
You can attack and affect the flight pass, so you can mess that up for people, I guess. But,
that would irritate me way more than anything else. But I mean, flying mount, you just go in a straight line and AFK and make yourself a sandwich or something. So.
Well, it also seems like they have kind of contained it to where, because I kept on trying to go to Morales to infect people.
Yeah.
And once you go to Morales, you just, or go to BFA content, you just become regular again. So.
Yeah, so it doesn't affect that for whatever reason.
Yeah, so maybe it's only like contained to the actual like Azeroth. So maybe you can go to like Warlords, make Warlords better. But
like, we went to Warlords and we gave them the gift of the scourge.
Yes,
they'd be fun.
Anyway, I've been enjoying it. Anyone's listening, they're bored with current WoW. You just want to play, download the test live servers and test it out.
All 900 gigs of it. Let's see.
Sure.
So yes, it sounds like that'll actually be pretty fun though. Once it hits, it'll be something to do for. Have they actually said when they're intending to release it?
Everyone's suspecting September or October.
Okay. I wish it would come sooner than later, because there's not like the speed gear I was working on. I'm over 150% just normal now, and that's plenty fast.
You will be one. You will be one fast zombie.
Yeah, well, I'm real curious. I might actually download the test server just to port my dude over and see what my speed is over there with that gear. Because I know, like, if there's a stat squish, like this, I would assume speed would be affected by the stat squish.
Well, because as a zombie, you are you actually had a little buff that actually makes you work faster anyway. So with that and your actual gear, who knows? You might be like the Flash.
Right. I hate downloading the test server because it takes up so much space, but I might do that just to see, because like a lot of my speed is from the Azerite trait. So if that goes away, I got to find other pieces that have speed on them somehow. But we'll see. I mean, for leveling, it won't matter. It'll just be, like once the expansion is going and your level cap for the speed. Because I can't imagine not having a speed set of gear now that I've made one. Like, it's so convenient.
Sure.
It ruined my other characters, though, because it's way too much work to create one.
All right. Well, you ready to talk about the world that is wrestling?
Yes. One moment.
Oh, I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue pad.
This is a revolution.
All right. Are you ready to talk about stupid AEW and stupid Cody Rhodes?
Yes.
Stupid. So I want to talk about that first, because that is what is driving me insane in the wrestling world. For AEW, at least. There's many other things in wrestling, but the whole, because we were both talking about the Scorpio Sky Cody match last week, where it was like Scorpio Sky, we really wanted him to win, I think, or
something,
or Cody turn, or Sky turn, or a draw to set up like a rematch at least, like just something. And
They went the route that we said would be the dumbest way to go.
Right. Yeah, for us it was straight up match, Scorpio lose, and nothing change. Now,
Yep.
it is possible that because Scorpio Sky was like kind of sitting there, but then the Dark Order thing came on, maybe that was him like just thinking about things. But if commentary doesn't pump that up a little bit, that something seems wrong, we just got to go by what we see. And now the match itself, without knowing everything going on, it was a fine match. Like, the match was good. Sky looked strong in the match, but that was it. There was nothing that advanced that we saw.
It was.
Now, it is possible next week, or even on Dark or something, that Scorpio Sky has like a changed demeanor. He something could definitely happen the upcoming week, which is going to be on Saturday. Unfortunately, they've been bumped due to playoffs and stuff like that. So, which I think we all knew would probably happen, but it's just unfortunate because they seem to be doing pretty good overall. So now you're changing their days for a few weeks here in the next month or so. But yeah, so I'm unhappy. This is probably other stuff I've been like, well, I just don't understand it. This one I feel some kind of like emotional attachment that no one had like a change of alignment or anything out of it. Like, it just felt like a letdown, kind of.
Yeah, it didn't really do anything.
Now, what if... So, we've got that out of the way. And I think from reading stuff or looking online, I think a lot of people feel the same way we do, where they wanted... Like, Scorpio didn't have to win, but just something to come out of it other than just a straight-up match. Which, I mean, in real sports, that's the kind of thing that does happen sometimes, where you're just let down. But pro wrestling, I always want more. So let's say on the next Dynamite or Dark, if Scorpio Sky comes out and, he beats his opponent, but then he just starts kicking the crap out of him, like, just basically like, kind of like a heel style, or he's just like cheating or something like that, does that help a little bit, where he thought about it for the week and then he's just so mad that he's going to be ruthless or something?
Yeah, I mean, you would almost have to do something to justify what you did,
right? Well, is it possible? So, because we're pretty conditioned, at least I am still, from like WWE or some other wrestling, where I'm used to things like happening straight away, whereas AEW will drag things out longer, which we've talked about a lot. So if over the next couple weeks he starts doing something, like, because at this point it's kind of on him to have a change. Like, Cody changing doesn't matter. He won that match clean. So now I have to expect some kind of change in Scorpio Sky. But if over the next couple weeks or 3 weeks even, if he has like an alignment change or something drastic, does that make it a little bit better and we're just impatient?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a few weeks from now, if, he has a new faction and he's like the leader of it.
Right.
Or whatever they do.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Or what if, this is an out there idea, what if he costs Cody, like, he doesn't join Dark Order, but what if he costs Cody the match against Brody just to mess with Cody? Like, for some reason, he's decided Cody is the problem, and he wants to mess with Cody, and they get like a feud out of it.
Well,
or even what would you think about him joining Dark Order?
I don't think don't put him in Dark Order.
Okay.
Unless you're going to do a reboot of the Dark Order and Mr. Brody kicks out all the jobbers and like.
So then this
is the Dark Order I want.
It's Mr. Brody, 10, Stu, and Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it's like, you keep them away from the comedy acts.
My only problem with that outcome would be the likelihood of me getting Scorpio Sky against Stu would be cut for a long time. It would be a while before I would get to
Sure.
see that.
Well, I mean, like you said, AEW storytelling. It's. I mean, look at, for example, of Sean Spears
And
and
Tully.
Cody.
Yeah.
It looks like that storyline is like a year old now, and they're coming back to it. So
Right.
You know,
Well, yeah, they're definitely willing to let things kind of drag out is more negative. Like, I guess let the story breathe some, where
yeah.
just because you have an issue, like, they don't 100% resolve the issue all the time. So it's still kind of lingering. Because, like, Hangman and Omega, they still don't 100% get along. And they're still, like, especially if you watch Being the Elite, like, with Hangman, there's still definitely tensions between him and everybody else. But they're just, like, they don't come up just in your face all the time. Like, you see them, like, during matches or during, like, promos, but they just kind of let it sit there, and it's a, you know, it's a lingering problem that, you know, one day it's going to blow up, but they're not like,
Well,
hey, we got to do this in 2 weeks. Like, they just let it go.
I've read it. It makes sense, but also you don't know how long this pandemic is going to last.
Right.
That they're holding off some of these storylines because they want live crowds.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, but I mean, there's only so much you can do to where you're like, okay, this storyline is just dragging way. I mean, as
Right.
good as Star Wars is, I don't want to watch 8 hours of Star Wars. You know, it's like, come on, let's get the story going
Right.
here. You know?
Well, like Lord of the Rings Deluxe Edition, I don't need that. So, 47 hours. You're like, well, I was going to watch it over the weekend, but I forgot that it takes a whole week to watch all of these. But yeah,
Sure.
so I guess, yeah, we're both pretty, at the moment, we're let down, but are you at least optimistic that there might be a payoff to him being built up like that and then just outright failing? I hate to say it that way because it seems like it's a character, but it is just like his character was like, look, pay attention to me. I'm better than this. Oh, I failed. Like that's rough for a character that you're rooting for.
So you and me are wrestling fans that remembers how WCW used to do stuff, to where they would bring up storylines and then they would just abandon them.
Right.
And WWE does that. Well, actually, WWE still does that
Yes.
today. So I mean, I just worry like Scorpio Sky is just going to be like, you know, yesterday's news type thing.
Right. Like there's not going to be, his character's not going to remember this and then he's just going to continue doing what he was doing.
Yeah, it's like the stupid skit he has on BTE where he like Snickers bars or whatever he does.
The VTE, I'm okay with people doing whatever. But yeah, no, I totally agree. But so far, it seems like they don't let things just slip through the cracks and disappear, unless they actually, like Nightmare Collective. They're basically like, yeah, without saying it, they're like, this just didn't work, so we're done with it.
Yes.
So the hope will be that this gives a Scorpio Sky character growth over the next few weeks. If that's the plan, then this isn't so bad, and it would give me the next time that I'm a little bit worried about something, that I'll wait a week or two before I fully commit to having anything. I'm just like so used to like Brock Lesnar destroyed Kofi Kingston for the title, and then Kofi just, that was the end of it. And he's addressed it himself as well, but it feels more like I would think that you would want a rematch, or you'd be angry about that. Something. That's not the best example, but that's one of the ones that come to my mind. So with this, yeah, just Scorpio Sky doing something. They were talking about, before we get into the actual Dynamite or anything else, so I mentioned like trying to find the AEW figures. Powder, the guy who does the toys with Jazzwares, They were talking about doing a possibly like an AEW Dark line, where maybe it's people who aren't on Dynamite all the time, but they're on Dark. So you might be able to see one day, assuming he doesn't move up, Hobbs. He could get an action figure. So I almost thought about trying to start a movement to get that guy an action figure. Like, if he's not actually on AEW proper. Like, have him...
I assume you're only going to get action figures to people that have contracts.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some work to be done still. But my hope is that that guy will be someone who could potentially be, like, if he's getting more experience on Dark or whatever and they do a Dark line, he seems like a good person to do. And I bet they could negotiate, like, an action figure deal for someone, like, under AEW without them being contracted totally. Like, a separate contract for these figures, this likeness, or whatever. Hard to say. Like...
Well, they fired 3 wrestlers this past week, so maybe...
Yeah, I saw where they were let go, I guess, but... Because one of them was Havoc, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Havoc.
Right, which that one's not a surprise. With everything that was going on with that.
Pete Priestley, whatever her name is, she got let go. I think that makes sense because I think she's stuck over in Japan.
Yes.
So I think they're probably like, well, we can't use you. So,
right. Now, is it that they were outright let go, or they're just contract that they had expired?
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've read, it seems like they were let go. But maybe, like, for example, like B, for example, because she still works for Stardom Wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be benefit for her to like, hey, we'll just let you go. That way you can actually get more money from Stardom.
Right, or more, yeah, like any restrictions you had.
So maybe for her it was, to help her out. And then the other one was Gibbs.
Yeah.
I think they let her go. She was just a prospect. I don't think she had any talent. She was getting wrestling talent, but she wasn't a wrestler.
Yeah.
So I think that was the reasoning for letting her go.
Okay. So, yeah, I saw some of that. Like, Jimmy Havoc, it's unfortunate, the whole thing, because I was starting to like him as a character with Kip. Like, I was starting to really dig that team. But everything... Can't be shocked with everything that was going on with that happened. The other two, I'd have to read into it. I know I saw something where I think they both responded, but it didn't come across like they were just canned, basically. So hopefully it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, this is going to be better for everybody involved and not just fired. Because they seem to be pretty good about trying to pay everybody.
On B's, at least on her end, on her Twitter, she basically said, "You will see me again in America. Just
okay,
may take some time."
Yeah. Because my only thought on it is, I know WWE when they let go a lot of people, they took an awful lot of criticism on that. From it's like, since they're publicly traded, kind of the money they have coming in and the timing of letting those people go, it's going to be hard for them to do anything. So they got really slammed on that. I mean, business is business, but...
Business is business. And yeah, I mean, they were just buying people to keep them from going to like Ring of Honor and AEW and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a wrestler, as a contractor, you have to, you have to factor that in. Like, hey, something happens,
Yep.
I can get let go anytime. So,
let me see here. So for the actual show, we started out, it was Tag Team Appreciation Night. And we started with the Bucks against Dark Order, Stu, and Uno. Good match. Like, it's not a bad match at all. Bucks win it. They did a weird thing towards the end where they tried to block off one of the Bucks from the ring. Like, they threw him back in the entrance tunnel. I actually thought that was pretty... Like, I don't think I've seen that done before.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then it didn't matter because they they lost, but overall it was
Yes.
an all right match. Any thoughts on it? Anything that really stuck out to you?
I thought Dark Order needed to win it.
Yes. Or I almost thought as well they could even, because they don't really do this very much, like just the rest of the Dark Order just in the middle of the match, just turn it into a beatdown.
Yeah.
Just something. But yeah, I kind of was hoping for a Dark Order win here, but it's kind of whatever. Like I just don't know. Like Dark Order, like they're in limbo. I'm wondering if Brody is going to be the one to beat Cody at this point.
Well, if you believe the spoilers that are out,
Yes, which have supposedly are fake spoilers. So
yeah,
I've
but
seen
people
multiple
that-
things on it, so I don't know. I haven't even looked at them, but we'll find
Well,
out.
the people that are saying that they're fake are huge AEW fan base people. So maybe they're trying to save AEW ratings. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows? I mean,
Yeah, because I mean, there's definitely like a very small group of people who are getting to go to these shows.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely possible for there to be a spoiler, but it's also possible that those people were like, "Hey, we want you," because I could see that someone being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go, and I can prove that I'm there. I'm gonna put fake spoilers to mess with everybody." Like that seems like
sure.
a wrestling fan kind of thing to do in a way.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so for that, feels like Mr. Brody needs to, regardless of spoilers or what has actually happened, just looking at it, certainly seems like Mr. Brody needs to be able to beat Cody and get that title, because otherwise he's had a world title and this and failed. How is he still the leader of the Dark Order?
Yes. I agree.
So there's definitely that. We got this next thing is really strange to me. MJF, so he's doing the whole campaign thing, which is fine, but the amount of attention that Gum Guy got, did you see any about that?
I don't think I watched this promo.
Okay.
I must have been doing something.
So I guess last week when he was coming out, because they do like the Goldberg thing where they knock on the door, but MJF doesn't headbutt the door a bunch of times and give himself a concussion. So,
Yes.
but I guess someone gave him a piece of gum and he wasn't very happy with it. So that person got fired or something. But this week there's a new gum guy, and when he gave him the gum, he was like actually impressed by it. And I actually I don't remember the full gist of it, but they were super into Gum Guy because they're like, so MJF gave the guy a compliment, which is rare because even the way he compliments Wardlow is he just points out that he's a big, strong guy. It's not like Wardlow is awesome, anything like that. So he complimented Gum Guy, and then the thing is, like, MJF is a gum chewer. He's had an awful lot of gum throughout his life. What kind of gum could someone give him that impressed him? Like this isn't just like, oh, this is good gum choice. It's, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to give out a rare compliment. So this person went super more in depth on it. It was on the Reddit squared circle or whatever. So I'm sure you could search like MJF Gum Guy or something there and probably find it. But it made me think about it. It was like, that is real strange that for someone who I chew a decent amount of gum, it would take a lot for me to have a piece of gum and be like, oh my goodness. Unless it was like the Willy Wonka 7-course meal gum or something, and it didn't turn me into a blueberry. So
that's what I was getting ready to say. Maybe it's like Willy Wonka gum or something.
It's going to turn out that the masked gum guy is Willy Wonka. That's his gimmick. That'd be amazing. I don't know how I would feel about that, but I would like it at the same time. So did you So you didn't see any of this promo then, or?
I saw the end where what's his face Moxley attacked MJF.
Yeah. I thought this felt a lot like when Shawn Michaels and Hogan had their feud, and Michaels was like, "What you gonna do when I don't lay down for you?" or something along those lines. That's not the exact wording, but that was the gist of it. Is basically that he wasn't gonna let Hogan politic him and just lay down for him. So he kind of...
What Michaels did do is oversell the heck out of his moves.
Yes. The AKI Evolution No Mercy mod that is being worked on. One of the things that guy wants to do is, and I've seen like the video of it, is if you have Michaels against Hogan, Michaels will sell ridiculous. So he'll do like the Phoenix Splash sell for a punch and things like that, which is fantastic because that's a lot of work for very particular payoff for a very particular group of people. But yeah, so he like lays down in the better or in the ring, basically just really laying into Moxley. I thought he did a pretty good job of it. When Moxley's music hit, I like that they made sure it was audible, and where MJF was like, yeah, he comes through the crowd, go up there, cut him off. Like, I didn't need it explained, but at least they explained it, so if someone was just tuning in and didn't know what was going on, it'd be like, oh, that's why he sent away all his cronies, he's doing that. It's also funny to think about that someone coming through the normal entrance is a surprise entrance attack.
Yes.
But yeah, he wrecked him with the paradigm shift. Like, from the initial angle was scary.
The only thing I'd say about this is MJF better have the advantage over Moxley going forward. Then.
Yeah, like he needs to get the upper hand back. Well, he's got a... Go ahead. Yeah, just for how bad he got laid out here.
Yeah. I mean, either make me think that MJF is a threat, or I don't know. Maybe they're going to go a different route with it. Moxley just completely dominates him during this entire time, and when they actually wrestle, MJF wins it. So
yeah, he just outsmarts him. Well, he's got a campaign going. So I hate MJF currently. So because I follow him on my Twitter, and for about 1,400 pages, it felt like, of scrolling, I am now aware that MJF has started a petition to try to get the paradigm shift as a move banned.
Yes.
Because he apparently went, and anyone on Earth who ever mentioned it retweeted them. So I just had like a 50-minute block of him sitting on Twitter, I guess using the can or something, where he just retweeted, and I was like, oh my goodness, there are so many of these. I need to unfollow him so I stop seeing this. So excellent heel move by MJF there to me. So it'll be interesting if they do remove the paradigm shift, because he would either have to go for submission, or maybe, who knows, maybe he wants to change his finisher, and this is a way to incorporate it into a storyline.
Yeah, sure.
Because it does look super scary, the elevated version. But let's see. So we got... Yeah, I'll be curious to see how that plays out. They talked to Matt Hardy, who's kind of... on BTE, he did it real bad. On this, he just did a little bit, where him getting the chair to the face by Sammy has scrambled his brain, basically.
Yes.
And then he attacks a referee mistakenly, because the referee had a leather jacket and a baseball hat on. So obviously that's Sammy.
Yeah.
It was nice of them not to find him for
Hardy. I don't. He's not as good as Jericho as far as reinventing himself, but I mean, he's pretty good. He's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, and it feels like he's being used to bump Sammy up a little bit. Yeah. Like, is what it feels. My assumption. I mean, it could be possible that Matt Hardy squashes him, which wouldn't make any sense. But it seems like he's been brought in and like specifically wants to work with Sammy for whatever reason to do that. So I think that'll be fine. One thing we didn't talk about with the beginning of the Cody and Sky match is basically everybody in AEW was in Cody's corner at the beginning of this match.
Yes.
Like 47 people came out. All right, so
Yeah, I mean, they're really doing a good job of making me hate Cody. I mean,
yeah, like it's not heel stuff in a lot of cases, but it's arrogant, kind of better than you stuff. It's an interesting line, as it is currently. So this tag team championship match here, with Lucha Express, yes, the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus version with super heel Marco Stunt against Kenny and Hangman. What was it I sent you? Something that I was glad that they were beating up on Marco Stunt.
well, I think me and you both were texting each other like, anything that Kenny does here, I'm kind of for.
Yeah.
Nobody attacks Marco Stunt.
Well, yeah, what I said was like, everyone hating Marco pleases me. Because even like everyone on commentary was like, how does he think he can do that? So, and then like he was constantly just getting wrecked by somebody, it felt like. So I'm a fan of that. This match though, did it feel slow to you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think I'm just super critical at the moment of Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because I'm going to say this and then I'm going to contradict myself almost. I don't dislike Luchasaurus. Like, I like the idea, but it just feels like he has, like, a super limited move set or something. Almost like they don't know the best way to plug him in. And it's always like the Goku style problem where you want him to be super powerful, but you can't use him all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because I like the overall look, I really like. I do like his kicks in the offense. It makes sense, but it feels weird to me all the time. Like there's just something not working there. Maybe because he doesn't have go ahead.
He doesn't do a lot of big man stuff.
Yeah, and that might be what it is, because he's got the choke slam, but
yeah,
it seems like he should be able to kick you and then like get a rib shot in, and when you double over, like gut rich power bomb or something, like just combine, like the kick sets up something like head kick, you're bounced into the rope, press slam when you're rebounding, or a big power slam, things like that. Like if they had a Luchasaurus toy and I was playing with him, that would be his moveset. He would use kicks to set up bigger moves. Because a dude that big kicking you in the ribs, it's going to double anybody over. So it works for me. But
I remember watching Kevin Nash in an interview, and he was talking about when he first started out in WWF, he was doing not big man stuff. Basically, he was jumping around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, it looked terrible. And he's like, when I came into the back, he's like, Undertaker was there, and he's like, don't ever do that again. You look terrible.
Right.
So maybe that's the problem with Lucha.
Source.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him in a ton of single matches either, though, recently. Because, like there's an old match where him and John Morrison had a match in Wrestle Circus, and it was actually a good match. So I know he didn't get worse over that time, but it's just kind of the way it's been worked in.
John Morrison was really good and made him look good.
I mean, it could be a little bit, but just like something about the offense just feels off to me. So when Luchasaurus is involved, for some reason my brain has decided that he is a problem, in the sense that he doesn't match the right pacing somehow, or it just doesn't feel right to me. And it might be as simple as what you say, like he doesn't do a lot of power moves, and I'm expecting that for some reason, because that's kind of the way he's built.
My biggest problem with this, other than Kenny Omega beating Marco Stunt up every now and then, they needed to do more with Kenny kind of like becoming a bad guy. Right.
Well, he did get to Snapdragon Marco on the outside, but that's like a super face move to me. So like he could have really just got like counted out because he was beating up Marco Stunt, and I would consider that a victory.
Sure.
Because I don't dislike Marco, but he definitely just keeps cheating. He's a filthy cheater. Involves himself in matches, and people, and he, makes them bad guys in my mind. So, I still like Jungle Boy though.
I think I'm done with Kenny Omega and Hangman.
The man that hangs.
I'm ready for somebody else.
Yeah, as the tag champs.
Yep.
I saw someone made this as an observation, is because they've had like every big match they can have just about, and the thought is, since they're not going to be a tag team that's sticking around at a certain point, that they're just running through every matchup they could possibly have, because they're probably not ever going to be a team again. So
Sure.
That would go with it. Who do you think's taking the belts off them?
It would have to be FTR, I assume.
Right. I mean, that's what I would expect at this point. But watch, it's going to be like it'll be Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., the new Hollywood Blondes.
Oh no. No, like I said, to annoy me, it'd be best friends.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. I would not want to be around you to talk about that for the next show. So if that happens and we don't have a show that week, you know why.
Sure.
They're like, well, we had 60 minutes of Saul going on a tangent about the best friends. All right, so we finally get to the Rock and Roll Express with Arn and Tully, Bucks and FTR. This ended almost exactly like I thought it would.
I thought this was the best part of the whole night.
Was that because the stupid Rock and Roll Express got spiked?
It was just the whole story. I mean, it took the next story of like, okay, so FTR is working with Tully, it seems like, or at least they give the illusion that maybe something's happening here.
Well, yeah, because it was weird because Tully was pretty much clearly trying to draw everyone's attention. And then they blindsided them. And it would make sense if they were with Tully that they would have, they would not be fans of the Express. So
yeah, then Tully, laying into Arn there.
Yeah.
So I think he put a little seed. Like I think Arn's going to turn on Cody.
That's fine. I mean, that's what you would expect from an Anderson, anyway.
From Anderson. Well,
anyone who was a horseman working
Anderson,
with
I think he does better as a heel. Him as this whatever he is, football coach.
Well,
bring out his.
I mean, the role he's in is fine, but he could basically be the exact same thing as a heel, but kind of go in on stuff or just that little bit of outside cheating that we've seen him do every once in a while.
Yeah,
and I think he's more natural at that. So, and he gets tag team, but yeah, hopefully we're getting closer to the formation of the Horsemen or whatever they're going to call them here.
Yeah, so I like this whole thing. I liked how they attacked Rock and Roll Express and everything.
Yes, and Morton took that spike pile driver like Rob Van Dam. Like, he just popped through it. So I was like, oh, geez. So yeah, so there's a lot going on, because even the Hangman was out there questioning what they were doing. So any alliance they have with Hangman is kind of like, oh, is that still in play, or how's that going to work?
You just give Hangman some beer.
Yeah,
be back on your side.
Yeah, he's easy. Like, here's some Jack, Mr. Hangman. Oh, okay, guys. Like, oh, I would love the segment though where FTR is explaining that it was just a misunderstanding, and he's like, you spike pile drived him. How is that a misunderstanding? And they try to justify that as an accident.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of making like Hangman like just the gullible idiot like in a TV show. Kind of like, okay, well, whatever.
Well, if they have him where like he's been drinking heavily, like it would be more like a BTE skit, I would think, where it's not 100% can. But I would just love, because he does play like the lovable goof pretty well at times.
Sure.
I mean, and actually, you don't even need to get him a drink. You just get him a new lawnmower.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole thing. I must have missed that. They were
He
talking
had
about the
tweeted
lawnmower.
out something where he wanted to get a lawnmower. So my assumption is it's literal. Like in real life, his lawnmower is garbage and he wanted a real one. And he was
Yes.
just like, I'm going to start talking about this because I really want a lawnmower. And he just hasn't done it. But I'd like to think that Hangman Page is in enough of a spot in life that he could go out and buy a new lawnmower if he wanted to. If not, there is some serious
yeah.
contract negotiation skills that he needs.
I just told Tony Khan I wanted some beer, and he's like, okay.
Has he tried tweeting Tony Khan about needing a lawnmower? Because it seems like that'd be a fair thing here. All right, before we analyze Hangman Page's yard from his episodes of BTE. So we got Sheeta in action against Heather Monroe.
Yeah.
It was basically Heather Monroe really had a lot of offense on this one. And then all of a sudden Sheeta was done with it and just wrecked her.
Yeah, I was actually surprised the Heather wrestler had that much offense, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like from basically like they say, and they got it in the thing here, where it kind of woke the champ up, so to say, where she was like, oh man, this person's really coming after me. I better do something. So we got, I don't have much more to say about that one unless you do.
No.
I mean, she did use a submission finisher, which is, to the best of my knowledge, new. Always a fan of people having two submission, or, like a pin and a submission finisher. Makes the eventual potential to be in an I Quit match. It doesn't make me think, well, how is that going to work? Where they just pick a random finisher for the match. So you had mentioned this because, and then we were talking about it, but Jake the Snake with Lance Archer.
Yes.
Who we determined that Archer's current gimmick is bullying senior citizens.
That's the only way I can go with this. What they were trying to do, because I'm like, you make Jake the Snake look really bad here, so I don't know what you're doing.
It seems like you have to assume, and it's making a lot of assumptions here, but it's making you feel bad for Jake that he basically got in over his head, and it's making you think that Lance is out of control and a really bad person.
Yes.
Is basically what it is. Now, if that's the intended goal, they're going in the right direction.
Sure, because so if you look at this match realistically, or not match, this segment realistically, I assume the Murder Hawk there made Jake the Snake take off his shirt earlier in the day, and he's like, "I'm going to write down everybody dies on your back, and you're going to wear this shirt. I rip it off you."
Well, it's like Jake can't really fight back against Lance Archer.
Sure, so this increases the bullying the old man. Like, oh, okay,
Right,
don't hurt me.
Yeah, because nothing really came across that was Jake Roberts' idea, or he wouldn't have been kind of against it when time came.
Sure. Well, okay, even if he was for it, it's weird. All right, Murder Hawk, I want you to write down everybody dies in my back here. I don't. It doesn't make sense.
So do you think when they're just like hanging out, he refers to him as Murder Hawk instead of Lance?
Yes. That's how he wants it.
Like, I want you to use 2 syllables minimum to address me.
My name is
3.
My name is not Lance Archer to you. It's Murder Hawk.
It's Murder or Hawk or Murder Hawk, but not Lance.
Yes.
I had
So
to.
anyway, this whole, like I said, the whole segment it was just weird, and I'm like, okay.
I can tell you why it's going this way. I figured it out. So for the key demo of the 50 plus,
Yeah.
Lance Archer is going to bully a senior and eventually get his comeuppance, and the senior 50 plus community will rejoice. That's how they're going to do it. It's not going to be crafting or anything like that. It's going to be Lance Archer and Jake Roberts.
Sure.
All right. So we move on. They've made this the main event match. Jericho Cassidy, the $7,000 obligation match. which is a hilarious. The way this whole thing has played out is funny. That the jacket is now basically fully orange. Might as well have gone to Clemson at this point. Mike Chioda is our ref. They had a little segment about Jericho and him talking to each other in the back, kind of setting it up that you might be suspicious of Chioda being a shady ref, let's say.
So this shows you how much I do not follow WWE. So I guess this guy was a WWE ref for a long time, I guess.
Yes. One of the more well-known ones.
Gotcha.
So, also the name Mike Chioda is pretty recognizable, so it's hard not to remember the name when you hear it a couple times.
Sure.
But so with this one, basically Cassidy immediately is going full tilt. Like there's not quite the games that he normally plays in the beginning. So what do you think overall? Because there was that, and kind of in the middle of the match, he did like those weird, like lazy punches, trying to just basically he tricked Jericho with that and got some offense in. But what do you think of this match compared to the first one?
I mean, I thought the match was okay. Going forward with the character, I think it'll help Cassidy's character, sure. Jericho, I hope at the end of this, because I assume they're going to fight it all out for like the rubber match type thing.
Right.
I hope that once this is done, I think Jericho needs to realize, okay, I need to get serious because my character is
right.
This looks really weak now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and he can explain it though that he basically fell into Orange Cassidy's games of haha comedy kind of stuff, and that's what led to his downfall. Something along those lines.
And getting back on the track and becoming the champion or whatever he's going to be.
Right, or just more serious or whatever he's going to do next. Now for Cassidy, do you think at this point, having seen him go basically mostly like a normal wrestler who's good, do you expect him to stay more serious now? Like basically they've built him up with like the shtick that he had, but showed that he is capable. Do you think he goes straight back to that, or does he stay more serious for a while?
I don't know. I don't know how you can go. I just don't know. I don't know how you can. I guess you had to stick with the same gimmick because that's what everyone likes, I guess.
Right. But does
the problem with that gimmick is I don't know how much you can, because if you change it too much, it's not the same gimmick. It's not the same character, you know.
Right.
So
well, I mean, it could
that's
grow.
the problem with that character.
Yeah, my thought would be that he's more serious, but I mean, he can still do all the stuff. But now everyone knows it's 100% a mind game at this point, and how you work that. Because if he's doing like the shin kicks, hands in the pocket at the beginning, at this point everyone knows what he's capable of, so they're not going to fall for the same tricks. Now maybe that's the next part of the Orange Cassidy story, is maybe now that everyone knows, he realizes he can't take it easy.
Yep.
I guess like he seems like a pretty clever guy, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I would expect him to be slightly more serious, and it be just in the middle of the match he'll break something like that out to throw somebody off and try to get the upper hand, maybe. I just don't know.
It'd be interesting to tell the story.
Right. I would think that that's been thought through though, because like you said, you run into a problem now of if you don't do it right, it kind of messes up the character. So, but
I don't know how you can do it.
So when they did the mousetrap, did you lose your mind and immediately have to go on Twitter and social media and start screaming about it?
No.
Why not?
Because I was expecting Cassidy to beat Jericho here.
But Jericho took the mousetrap wrong, and it ruined everything for Orange Cassidy. He basically sandbagged him on purpose to ruin him.
Wow, I totally didn't get that.
The way I took it
some
was
some people get a little bit too into their storylines, I think.
right. Well, I guess Jericho had went on Twitter or something and said that it was the way it was intended or something. My thought would be, if I was going to wrestle Orange Cassidy and I saw the way he does the mousetrap, and I felt him trying to go for that, I would also try to fall backwards as a counter. So I just kind of took it as maybe Jericho was trying to counter it, and commentary didn't point it out, but he still ended up getting wrapped up enough that he couldn't kick out because it, that's the way it went. Like, that's fine for me.
So people were saying that Jericho was trying to sabotage Cassidy.
I think those were people who were being like a little over the top on purpose. But yeah, a lot of people just were not pleased. They called it like a super botch and stuff like that, and it very well could be. But
because Jericho's going out of his way to make Cassidy look good,
right?
So,
right. And I used the most extreme example I saw, and that could have been someone going super overboard to make the same point, and it's just hard to tell. But 100% people were definitely very critical about the finish because the mousetrap wasn't performed 100% the right way, to where it's really not the same move.
Sure.
But yeah, people were really bad. Plus, everybody's angry with Jericho because they did the concert previously, so he's anything he does. And the only thing,
which he probably enjoys.
oh, I'm sure he does not care one bit, one way or the other. I'm sure he cares, but not in the same way. The only thing I'm going to say on the concert is he had mentioned on his Saturday night stream that he does that he was surprised that those concerts were going, but he was like, yeah, I guess we're doing it because they already paid us our guaranteed. So they definitely had a contract that it doesn't sound like they could have got it. Let me take that back. I don't know what the penalties would be for not fulfilling your end of a contract like that. And the rest of his band, I don't know that they're set financially quite like him. So him pulling out affects his band. I don't want to say one way or the other it's a good idea or a bad idea, but I didn't see anyone bring up that point of not knowing what the contract stipulations were, like if they would have to pay back a certain amount of money. There's a lot of other things going into it.
I heard this one guy, so he was very against Jericho doing the concert.
Right.
And he was like, well, unlike, you can go with the starving artist excuse here because Jericho, he doesn't need the money.
Yeah, but I don't know anything.
Jericho might not need the money, but Ozzy might need the money.
Right. And that's something I don't know. I don't know anything. Like, are those guys like professional musicians who have a steady income? I have no idea. Like, I don't know that. I'm not going to research it, and I'm not going to say one, like, because I understand the argument that it might not be the best idea. But there's other things that go into it.
He might not let this virus, rule him as far as fear goes. I mean, some people are just, they're not like, hey, it is what it is, and I'm going to live my life how it is, and if I get it, that's how it is,
Right. Yeah, and that's fine, but, like, the only thing, I just wanted to bring up, like, the counterpoint to it of there might have been a way that they couldn't have gotten out of that without it costing them a ton of money or penalties or something like that, where it was like the other guys in the band might not have been able to swing something like that, or that might be a make or break deal for them. I have no idea, but I just never saw anyone ever point out that there were other people in the band that Jericho's a large part of Fozzy, so I assume a lot of people that watch Fozzy, it's because of Jericho. So it's not just about him, it's about that entire crew that would go on with that. So, again, not to say right or wrong, but I just want to make sure there's a counterpoint.
Yeah, who knows? Anything that goes with this virus, you're either one way or the other. People are so,
there's not a lot of moderateism, I guess you could say, where it's middle of the road, where you get it, but you don't get it kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, or more likely, the most opinionated people are the most vocal, as always.
Yep.
I'm gonna look for. There's got to be a study on that, further than like Dunning-Kruger stuff, because that comes up all the time for those kind of things too. But maybe I'll look into that, because there's got to be, the more extreme you are about something, the more vocal you are, which makes sense. Like, you believe it so much that you'll tell everybody. But I don't know.
I'm just so angry.
Just mad. I mean, that's how I feel about Jericho because of Dean Malenko. So, trust me, I want to blame Jericho, and I hope he's in the wrong, but he's not. Oh, did you see? Excellent news that Dean Malenko is currently a double champion.
No, I did not see that.
He has the Pakistan. He tapped out Sammy and Joey Janela back to back. So the DDT Iron Man title and the whatever crazy Pakistan title that Sammy had. Let me look here. Dean Malenko. Hold on. This is great for a podcast, but double champ. Because someone listed all his accomplishments. But yeah, this was just like super recent. I'm not seeing anything about it. I'm really let down. But yeah, it was just like a random YouTube clip that Sammy and Joey Janela were talking. And I guess the rules for those titles are like 24/7 style. So they're talking. Okay. Dean Malenko walks up to, I think, Sammy first. And all of a sudden a referee comes out of nowhere. And he just locks in like an armbar. And then he walks to Joey and he's like, oh, let me show you something. And he puts him in like another submission and he taps out. So then he's like, oh, that was easy. And he walks away with both belts.
Yeah.
Best thing ever.
I hate to tell you this. I am not that big of a fan of, I mean, he's all right. But, yeah, Dean Malenko, I really didn't follow him that much. So.
You are missing out.
Sure.
From a match quality. I'm not saying like personality. Like, you're never going to see one of his promos and be like, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. But you might watch his matches and be like, that was a really good match. That is a shame that guy just couldn't get people interested in him.
I remember his Jericho feud in WCW, and I don't remember him doing anything. I think Jericho did it all, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was pretty much designed to build Jericho.
Sure.
And then, like, match quality, like, you're not going to get a bad match out of Malenko. So, I'm trying to find here. I'm looking on his Wikipedia page, because I would assume that, yeah. So, he is currently the DDT Pro Wrestling Iron Man Heavyweight Championship. And let me find the other one. Maybe the Sammy one doesn't count as official, but either way, I saw a video of him tapping out the champion and walking away with the belt. So that's what matters to me. So
there you go.
When we eventually do our Dean Malenko episode, I'll be sure to talk more in depth about that for us. So
sure.
All right. Are you ready to call it?
To call this, we've been rambling about all kinds of stuff.
Yes. It's always at the end, though, most of the time, so no one listens to it anyway. So,
true.
Although I would like to say hello and welcome we had someone in Belgium download it, so, which I think is the first time I've seen that country show up in a long time. So,
well, we only get somebody from Spain, so
yes.
Hey,
or Olaf. Yeah, so, all right, we'll get off here. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
And, I got to do the outro. I almost forgot. I was going to just stop it.